Hey guys, welcome back to Honey Rich Farm. I'm Troy, and today I want to talk a little bit about beekeeping finances. You don't see a lot about it online, but it has a major impact on what we do and how we look at it and how we keep our bees. I love keeping bees. I would keep bees no matter what. I'm fascinated by them, all the stuff you do with them, but in a way, a measure of our success in beekeeping is through our finances and how we keep what we can make off our bees. It's not all about that, but it's kind of a measure of success. You ain't going to make much money if you let all your bees die. And you hear stories, we go to the bee clubs and we tell stories and we hear stories, and we always hear people's best. This hive, I've got a hive that made 250 pounds of honey. I still hear other people talk about, well, I've never lost a hive. And, you hear other stories, well, I've got a queen that never been treated for mites. You hear a lot of stories, and that's fine, but you don't. The measurement is, to me, is through the money. So it's I've got a lot of hobbies, and most of my hobbies don't make me a dime, but the bees do and can and do, and they can make you some money, and they can pay for themselves, and not only pay for themselves but make a profit. But you got to know what you're doing. I think one of the first steps is to keep good records, and actually know what's going on, and not, I think even sometimes we tell ourselves, we tell our best stories, but we don't want to think about our bad hives, or the hives we have problems with, or why we're having problems with them. I think the first step to that is we got to know what's going on during the course of a season. If we had 20 hives come out of winter, and we have 20 production hives, and we should be making, if that's what we're doing is making honey, we should be making honey on all 20 of those hives. The average in Kentucky, and I know we are definitely not the biggest honey making state, but the average in Kentucky is a 5-gallon bucket of honey, or 60 pounds of honey per hive. We're going to say 50 just to make the numbers a little easier. But if you had 20 hives and made 50 pounds per hive, honey sells for $10 a pound. That's $500 per hive. 500 times 10 hives would be $5,000. 500 times 20 hives would be $10,000. It's a measurement of how well we are doing. And I hear a lot of stories, but I see a lot of people with hives, and I know we don't often talk about the money. You just don't see a lot of people that's talking about making $10,000 off of 20 hives. Although that's just the average. The Kentucky average is 50 pounds per hive. You should be making $10,000 per hive. If you've got a yard of 40, you should be making $20,000 off that yard. If you got 3 yards, that's $60,000. So you can make money in bees, but I think too often we tell ourselves we like to brag, and tell about our good hives, but we don't work hard enough on getting our other hives up, and we don't know because we don't keep records. And sometimes it is depressing to look and see how much we're making per hive. But we need to figure out. We need to keep those records and figure out what's going on. If we're not making 50 pounds per hive, why not? What's going on? And a lot of times it's not. I think we got to get our mites under control, but a lot of times it's more of a queen issue. We're so scared to pinch a queen or to get rid of a bad queen. You're going to have some hives that are good at making pollen, bringing in pollen, some hives that are good at making bees, and some hives that are good at making honey. Depending on what your goals are, you got to be able to look at that, have records, and determine, is that a hive that you want to keep in your operation or not? The other thing I wanted to talk about is our genetics, going on the line of your queen and how your queens are doing. We make our own genetics in our yards. My hives have all been caught from swarms and swarm traps and splits from those. I don't have a single bought bee or a single bought queen. They're all local genetics. A lot of people call them local mutts or different names for them that are derogatory, but your local mutt, they should be called, honey busters or, I don't know, something positive, because to me, I think that's your best queens. But those genetics that come from your yard, no matter where you got them from or where you start from, you're promoting those genetics whether you want to or not, or whether you like it or not, or whatever, because even if you make no effort in that direction, because those bees are the bees that don't, they're either going to thrive under the way you manage them, or they're not going to thrive, and usually going to die out because of the way you manage them. But you've developed a line of bees, your own line of bees that thrive under the way that you manage them. That's why when you buy queens from somebody else, you need to find out how they manage them and manage them the same way. Our genetics are not like a cow or a horse or a dog or any other type of genetics that I know about, because we can change our genetics inside of a month, and we can raise queens off our best queen. Do that. The queens we can do a lot quicker than that. So you have a line of genetics that are well suited to you, well suited to your area, whether you like them or not. I think we need to work on raising our own queens, whether we have the bees do it or graft. There's all different kind of ways to do it. But when you buy a queen from somewhere else, you buy bees that are suited to the way that they raise them. You have a line of genetics that are perfect for you, and for you to handle them the way that you handle them. So don't be, if you need to buy a queen, buy a queen. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying realize that the longer you keep bees, you are actually developing a line of genetics that is suited to the way that you keep bees. So don't undervalue that, I guess is all that I'm saying. Don't read into it. Just don't undervalue the genetics of the line of bees that you have.